So the whole thing that we're trying to put together here is what we currently have is very affordable, and we're utilizing it. We're very keen with the whole thing. It's got some age on it though, 26 years with this system, and 2022 or 2002 for AP, so that's got 24 years. So we're not saying, but it's always been kept up, as Sandy had said.
I wouldn't say it's old. I would just say it's been around that long.
Seasoned.
But loud and
Mm-hmm.
So
they've
how
all
does,
been around.
how does the data output stand up in audits?
Fine.
Yes, it's been fine.
Okay.
It really has. Is there more that can be done? Possibly, but I don't know that they're asking for. The auditors aren't asking for any more information than what we did. We met with them last week. They told me on our side that they're happy with us. So right now we have two systems. We use Harris, and the auditors use United Systems. All right.
We're one of the only counties that have different systems, but we kind of always liked it because we know we're in balance. He puts the information, we put the information, and it comes out the same.
That was my next question.
Mm-hmm.
So while we're can I ask one other question?
Certainly.
Just, a few years ago, someone that's been on the council for a while, this other software that the previous treasurer had purchased, F&E, I think it's called, or something like that.
Right.
Can you explain that?
Absolutely. F&E, which is fast and easy, and it works in with our MVP software. So everybody who received their tax statement, it's a coupon. So what we do is we take the spring and the fall or whatever you're paying, and we put the check behind it, and it just everything gets scanned in. So we see everything, which allows us to go back as far as we can with our records. And it is pretty sweet. Usually within an hour, we can have everything scanned for the day, and we keep up with it. Usually once the mail comes, which is usually 10:15, 10:30, we're scanning, and we're trying to do that all day long. And then about 3 o'clock, we kind of shut it down, go to the next day, and we're moving things along. So everything is moving to where we get everything scanned, and then we make a deposit at the end of the day. Today was nearly $1 million in tax collection, and it's a pretty swift deal for us. There's not a lot of time or effort after we put the scans through that we have to do.
Which that works with MVP tax.
Correct.
Thanks.
Yes,
So when you scan them in, it's not depositing it, it's just uploading it for your records. And then
That's
you still
correct.
take them
but then, at the end though, I do deposit.
with the scanner, or you take it to the bank?
I take it in the scanner.
In the scanner.
Yes, it just
It sends
pushes
a
it all
file.
out over here and grabs all the checks, and so I deposit it all. So it's a pretty sweet deal. I mean, I can't imagine 20 years ago when they had to manually do all the things they had to do.
Does that have a separate price tag also
That's totally
Yes.
different from our financials.
Correct.
from this? Okay.
It does, yes. All right, so when we had the issue with Harris, we brought in Exoft, which is the vendor that Angie uses. And they didn't really they're not up and running yet on their financial portion all the way. I think they've come along since last year when we brought them in, but we also brought in Lau, who is, I think, more seasoned, they have more information. One of the things that I think is important to see here, from 2022 to 2025, to seeing the number of counties in Indiana that are using Lau. In 22, we had 27. We're using Harris. We still are. In 25, there's only 13 counties that are still using Harris. I have a directory that when I go to Treasurer's Conference, and that's where I got this information. I was told there's less now, but I still want to go by the information that I have. So there are 70 counties that are using Lau as their financial software. I don't know what that means, initially, but I feel like it's important to have that information in front of us. Now, is it possible? And I don't like to do hypotheticals. I think hypotheticals all it does is put you in a situation where you have to backtrack, I feel like. But I think, could it be possible that Harris says something that, hey, maybe we're not going to service you in 18 months, or it could be. Anything's possible.
What's the other 19 counties use?
A variety,
Right.
yes.
Well, there's different, like, we're on United Systems, we have been since 2000, and we're the only county in Indiana that uses it. It's very widely known in Kentucky and in Tennessee.
It seems like these companies
So-
are kind of regional, aren't they, where they
Well,
focus?
they kind of go in cycles.
I've talked to other counties that have changed over from Harris to Lau, and they've said, like everybody else, they've said great things. I think one thing that stands out to me, so when we had Lau come in, and we included the auditors with it, it turned out to be a little bit more of an auditor presentation as opposed to a treasurer, which is okay. I think which I feel like if we're gonna make a change, it's gonna be in conjunction with the auditor's office. And at this point, we're not there. One thing that stood out though, that I don't think I ever told Sandy was when we do budgets, when you guys do budgets, unencumbered money, I think is something that's interesting. You know, money that, okay, it's budgeted, but we never used it. I think they will allow it, which we do receive as a department head. I receive something every month from Britta. She gives me a report of what I haven't spent per line item. You know, my payroll will always go down because that's budgeted and it's set. But my other line items, expenses, I can't think of what other ones I have. Doesn't matter. But those at the end of the year may not be used 100%. And I think there are other departments who have that too. They have a line item and maybe they don't use but 50% of it or less. I think it would be interesting to know or to have that information at the end of the year to say, you can go each department, and this is what allows kind of something that is maybe a feather in their cap, saying they can look at each department and each line item and say, this is what was not spent. And that's interesting. And I think because if what happens when that department comes to you for a request, I think you can go back to last year's information, look at it. Only because I sat on that seat over there. And being over here, that does have
We
value.
have that information available, we just don't bring them reports every month.
Right.
Because, I mean, you're talking reams of paper.
Mm-hmm. But they presented it like it was an easy find or something. So Lau does a lot of things, and I'm not pushing for Lau right now. But I'm saying it could be coming that at some point we may want to go there. They have flexible data entry. They have different payment methods that they also do easy search and navigation. That's always the thing that they're always pushing to. So one of the things that I want to real quick talk about is the number of counties that are using the tax software. So we talked about our tax software is MVP. So looking at in 22, there were 42 counties using Lau, now it's 52. MVP, which is what we use, in 22 it's 31, now it's 14. And then there are the others that Alex, you asked about here. You didn't ask about the MVP, but or the tax, but that's what this is. So there is
Our assessor uses Xsoft.
We just switched to that, what?
was that
Last year.
2 years.
2 years ago or something? Yeah.
But like Greg said, it's not really financially sound as Lau or Harris. It's more for Sioux Tangy's department better.
Right. So this presentation is meant to provide you with some information so that if I don't want to come here and say, hey, we have to make the change and you didn't know anything about it. I felt like that wasn't fair to you guys. That's one of the things that I always didn't care for being in that seat was when somebody needed money and we didn't really hear about it till that time.
Craig, I was trying to add up what you had sent us in the email about annual cost. I mean,
Yes.
it was loud, it was cheaper, right? Was I
They
wrong
were
on
not.
annual?
Yes, they were not. Let me go up here.
Well, wouldn't it be because we have Harris and United?
So
Difference of
with Harris,
40,000 to go
so
to
we
this-
would replace United Systems and Harris.
Right.
And
So
still
we'll
keep
keep
Lau.
MVP.
Oh,
MVP is totally
What
different.
was the
MVP.
$75,000?
That's MVP
That's
tax.
MVP.
So the
That's
only
MVP,
thing that we
that's
would
tax.
replace would be 4960 and 6800.
Yeah. 10.
So it'd be $41,000 more.
I thought
To go this way.
I had misunderstood it, that I thought Lau was gonna take over for MVP.
Okay. No, they can, but we're not there. I don't feel like we need to do that. That's a concern.
I mean, I have served on MVP Taxes Advisory Council since 2005. I'm still on that. Anytime there's any issues or any changes, I'm part of those changes. So I know that they're not going anywhere and our data is so clean and good. I don't know why we'd want to change right now.
And I will say, if we've had any issues with MVP, they answer the phone and our service is second to none. It really is. We haven't, we're pretty fortunate there. But I think
So,
the main issue is possibly our financial.
so my question is, you're only showing this in case that we would have to go. You don't want to change to allow.
That's correct. I think so.
In the case that Harris says we can't
Well, the
service
thing
you
is,
anymore, that's when you would
if
come.
since he's starting to had some,
Because I'm wondering
issues
for
with Harris,
$42,000, why
he can't really
is
change
there
without
a big
us.
difference? That we
Some of
would
these
see?
companies won't just do a treasurer side. They want both sides.
Mhm.
So that's why he's kind of showing you, if there is a problem with Harris in the future,
That would be our only option.
it'll force us to have to change.
And if we're gonna change them, we would have Sandy change and, which is
'Cause
payroll. and-
Yeah, a lot of these companies, Lau and Guts, and a lot of these companies, it starts in our office and we push them the data.
You're just being proactive and showing us what you feel is the best option, right?
Yes, sir. So it would be a substantial amount of money.
Now, I
upfront.
know with what we have, this probably has a lot more bells and whistles, but you're gonna pay for a lot more bells and whistles. Ours is kind of more basic. But it,
Do we need this? Whistles?
Well,
Again, we're here.
if you had it, I think you could utilize it, yes. Do we need it? Probably not. I mean, we're getting by without it. Could we utilize more information at our fingertips? Yes.
It's only ever as good as how much people use it. It's
Correct.
really
And what's
complicated.
its
Sometimes
take?
people, you're only as good as the data you put in, so that was
That's
gonna be my question too. Like, do you need it if it,
I'm just wondering why the other counties are going towards that, if it's that much more,
Yeah.
you don't really, it doesn't seem like you're getting
well, Lau
any
is,
more value.
Lau is
by
located in
them.
South Bend, so a lot of the northern counties had them, and BP was more in South. And I think they're just creeping down to get more business.
Do you
So-
think operational efficiency wise, you could maybe reduce somebody's part-time hours or something with this type of software? Or with-
Well, we only have 3 people in my office, and I don't know that we can be any more efficient than what we are. Because of PTO and being sick, I don't know that we can ever go to a 2.5. I don't think that's I mean, we have 39,340 parcels is what we have today. And that's a lot, there's a lot, but I think we're just doing it so efficiently. One of the things that is unique, when when we do a check run, and they'll write checks, so United Systems, and we'll put it in, and then they bring all the checks over to us, and then we have to enter it to our system. Well, with Lau, you enter it one time, and then it comes over to our system, and we would have to check it off. So instead of double typing, there's some efficiencies that go into play here. Now, is there a possibility we could make a mistake? Yes, but I don't know how we go down to less people. I think that's a challenge, because we only have 3 anyways. And we don't have any part-time. I feel like 3 has got to be the minimum. Especially, we only have 10 more days of collections. Usually the ladies are up there collecting the money in front of the people. I'm over here running the F&E, and it just is a big day all day.
Sounds good.
So that's where we're at. I just wanted to, I guess, keep you informed, be proactive, and if things change, wanted to give you a heads up.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your time. If you guys ever have any questions or you want to swing by and look at it, I can show you the F&E machine. I think it's pretty great. It makes us look really good and efficient.
I think when we go to these like AIC conventions, they're always there, these businesses, then, maybe it gives us an interest to go talk to them.
Right.
Find out a little bit more stuff too, a
Right.
little bit more about the company. But thank you,
Okay. All right. Make it a great day.
great presentation too.
Thank you. Thank you.
The Fisher Farms property, I don't know if, Lynn, if you want to address anything here, just, we talked with, Diane Fisher there, she's got a few items that, she changed accountants. So she's got some issues with the abatements on the farms that she provided us. So what I'd like to do is, she'd like to get with her accountant again and some guidance from Lane and the assessor, and maybe go through it again. It's due until May 15th. Our meeting is May 18th. So can we, could we give them leniency to provide that at the May, next May meeting? And try to get this corrected? Would that be okay with the council, or does somebody want to make an objection to that? It's not a huge, it's kind of a complicated affair because we gave them a personal property and business, a personal property, I think, only on the first building, or the original building, and now they're coming back, they're not that far along, they haven't even started the property yet on the second structure of the building. So I think they're just a little bit in limbo here. So if that would be okay, we'll put in the minutes that we'll take. Like I say, if now's the time, if you object to that.
Well, I gotta ask a question. Is the building they didn't build contingent upon federal funding that was reduced that they should have got for something totally different?
You mean personal property abatement?
Well, so we're giving them an abatement for this building, but there's also some federal stuff that they do too, right? This is what I was asked, and maybe their funding changed on how they were getting funds from the federal government, and that could affect.
Some of their granting, you mean?
Yes.
Possibly, okay.
Is that what she said?
She didn't address that.
No.
She just didn't have the forms filled out correctly for either one of the abatements. So we felt like in order to have the right information for the council to either say they're in substantial compliance or they're not, we really need to have that information corrected and know exactly what we're looking at. But she did mention, because I had asked her about the abatement we approved last year for their addition, for their real property, and they hadn't started yet. She didn't allude to the fact why they haven't started yet. But we're hoping she'll give an update when she comes in May as to the status of that build.
The only reason I asked is I just didn't know if it ever would become available.
And that's
If that's the hang up, I don't know.
That's a
what it
good
is.
question. She didn't say. She just said, I said, well, I was concerned because they did not file a registration with the assessor about the new bill. And she said, we haven't started yet. And I said, okay, that's good in a way, because we thought that there was a building going on out there that the assessor's office didn't know about. So that much I can confirm.
Well, part of the other issue is those forms with her account aren't due till May 15th.
Right, and the assessor's office didn't see them until she sent the copies to me today. And then when Angie was looking at and all these personal property changes where if your values are under 80,000, you didn't have to file. That's why they never got an abatement on the 2021 because their business property was below that. So they weren't paying taxes on it, so therefore there was nothing to abate. And now looks like the law is changing where they're going to eliminate that 80,000 to 1 million as a step and then to 2 million. So I'm not sure what that really means for personal property abatements going forward.
Could be a moot point next year.
Could be, it could.
So,
Does that answer your questions and address why we'd like them to come
So,
back?
I mean, her deadline is May 15th to get it to us, but it's also May 15th to get it to them, so that's why they don't even have them finished yet.
And they did switch accountants and she gave them all the prior returns and I guess there was some confusion about numbers. So we just felt like we want correct information for you guys to decide yes, it's in compliance or not.
Makes sense to me.
So could we, let's just have a show of hands of who's in favor of the item, that's that extra few days for May, so it's a consensus. So, okay, well,
Okay,
Lynn, thanks
thank
for what
you.
we put
Thank
into it.
you.
All right.
I think we're right on time, Brenda, if you're ready. I don't know if Veronica, is she coming?
She might have had her baby.
Should maybe.
I was gonna say, she might have had her baby.
Okay, well, that's good. That's great.
I knew it was around this time.
Yeah,
Last week, maybe?
actually, yes, last week, and baby boy, and everybody's doing great.
Well, that's
So, yeah, I am here with Arlene Fleck, she's our treasurer. As most of you know, I'm Brenda Summersine, and I serve as chair of the Du Bois County Stormwater Board. And we have talked with Ryan, Ryan being our liaison. Again, just wanted to make the entire council aware, so this is just really kind of an awareness so that you guys know kind of what we've been asked to do and what path we're pursuing at this point. Due to, as everyone knows, all of the federal happenings as far as reduction of staff, et cetera, the federal building that we are currently housed in, there is a possibility that building and the space that we utilize, we could be asked to vacate. They may rearrange federal employees, we're not sure, and none of this may happen. But in an effort to try to be ready, just in the event that it would, the State Association of Soil and Water Conservation Districts has asked each district in the state of Indiana to come up with a contingency plan for those of us who actually reside in what's termed federal buildings right now. So that's brought us here. We did meet with the commissioners. We did a little brainstorming, thought possibly if everybody was on board that maybe we could work out something with the Du Bois County 4-H and the grounds there, at least temporarily, if we were asked to vacate the federal space that we're in. So we did want to, we approached the commissioners just to make sure that if we did ask the 4-H that they were on board, and they are. We did meet with the executive committee of the Du Bois County 4-H Council. And if we can get logistics worked out, I think the executive committee felt like it's something that, yes, we can move forward together on. There's still details we have to iron out. They're going to do a little research as far as utilities and how we would accommodate that. So we're kind of waiting on the executive committee to get back with us. But with the council having a meeting today, we at least wanted to make you aware of what we've been asked to do by the State Association to have this contingency plan. What we're kind of thinking, we are open to any ideas that anybody would have. We are working with the executive committee again for the council, for 4-H council. Once we all are in agreement, then we will come back as a unit, both 4-H council and soil and water, to present the plan and ask for approval with commissioners and the council. Again, we're still working on that, so I don't have anything to present today, but just wanted to give you a heads up that this is happening. There's discussions. The hope is that we are not asked to vacate, and we may be doing this for nothing. But in the event that we are, we need to kind of have a plan and a place to go, at least temporarily. So again, just as courtesy, we felt it was good to make you guys aware of what we were working on. And then, as I say, well, once we kind of get it nailed down, we'll be back. Again, Veronica would have loved to have been here, but she just had babies. So again, she and baby are doing well. So but that's doing well.
How many soil and waters are in federal buildings?
You know, I'm not asked that question. I don't know how many is housed in federal. I think there's quite a few of us, but I don't know the exact number. So yeah, good question, but can't answer that for the state. So there are several of us, as I understand. So
Is there a time frame that you have to get back?
they have not given us a time frame. They would like for us to do this as quickly as possible, not knowing when the federal government could say, okay, you've got till this day and you have to be out. We hope there will be some consideration given that this does take a little time. But again, we have no idea if it will happen, when it would happen, a date, anything. We just want to try to be prepared if it does, and with the hopes again that it doesn't. So.
Yeah, I would say you just work from home, but the conundrum is they don't want you doing that either, so.
No,
Really,
that's not an ideal situation. And again, we could do that for a few days if push comes to shove, but we have to have a space to go permanently, ultimately. And, if it takes a few months, and if we can be housed at the 4-H grounds, at least for a little bit, till a more permanent solution is established, at least we have a place that then we can advertise that our clients then could come to us, because we do obviously work with landowners and such, so we have to have an accessible space for those folks to be able to meet with us. And obviously working from home is not that ideal space.
Are there other businesses or agencies that share that building space?
It's federal employees. We are
It's
the
federal.
only non-federal. The National Resource and Conservation Service, that's a federal staffing. The Farm Service Agency is there as well. That's federal. And then rural housing is out of there, and that's federal. So yeah, we're the only non-federal. And we have had for years this wonderful partnership between us and the federal, and it's worked beautifully. But again, with all the changes happening with the administration's effort to try to save money and possibly condense federal employees, that's again why we were asked by the state association, let's have a contingency plan just in case.
So Brenda, the 4-H council is kind of cash strapped. They probably are concerned about utilities being eager to
They
pay
are.
your fair share.
They are. Right now, we do not pay any rent. That's due to the partnership we have with the federal. So that type of thing would have to be worked out. Obviously, we have a limited budget as well, so we have to consider that. We couldn't expect the 4-H to pay our utility bill, for the electricity that we would utilize while we're in that space, if we would be. So those are the things we're trying to iron out, see if we can come to kind of an understanding if worst case happens, what that cost would be. Again, just put it on paper, so to speak, who's responsible for what, even to the point of bathroom supplies, et cetera. And again, it makes sense. We need to kind of get that hammered out, and that's what we're kind of working on now, so that if this does happen, there's no question, we kind of know who's going to pay for what and what the expectations are. So, good question.
Other questions?
What would you do? Just set up chairs in the Clover Pavilion and kind of work in the corner?
What we're looking at is, do you remember, and I don't know what they call it, I think they call it the annex now, where the old bookmobile was housed. That's the space we're talking about. And then possibly putting some dividers in just to give some privacy to the soil and water folks. There's also conversations about security, locking down our information, et cetera. So again, those are some of the things that we're trying to work out along with expenses and such. So that's kind of the initial thought. We had talked about the Clover Pavilion. They're indicating right now with how they utilize that space, there just wouldn't be enough room for us there. So,
Not air conditioned either.
pardon me,
It's not air conditioned.
I hadn't even thought about that. Yeah.
That way that other building is air conditioned.
Yeah.
Heated and cool.
That's a good point.
Be tough to work in a.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to ask
90-degree day.
employees to do that. Yeah. So again, hopefully none of this will actually come to fruition of asking to vacate, but again, we have to have a plan just in case.
Okay, well, we look forward to the plan.
Okay, when we get something nailed down, we'll be back. So, thank you so much for your time, we appreciate it. And Ryan, thanks too for your ideas.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Andy, are you ready? We're a little ahead of schedule here.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm gonna provide a couple comments, and then Grant Canese, our Vice President of Finance, will go through some details. Andy Sager, Chief Financial Officer for Wabash Valley. We're here with an update on our Wabash Valley Foods cooked egg plant project, and I'm happy to report everything's going very well. So it's a good update. We've had the plant in production, shipping commercial product since early February. It's not fully ramped up yet, and as Grant will talk about, we still have to close out all of the financial items. You know, it's a big project. You know, it's kind of phased. And so we were originally estimating a completion date in October. It took us a few months longer, but honestly, most of that was related to some upgrades and modifications we made with our customer, some additions and all that type of stuff. So it really there wasn't any significant items causing major delays. But from a expenditure standpoint, overall expenditures were going to be in excess of what we had talked about by some amount. It's pretty close right now, but that's because this report is as of 12/31, right, Grant? And we've had some expenditures roll in 25. You know, so we'll come back and talk about that when the project's complete. We're still waiting on a cost segregation study. And so we had indicated, I think when we first came with this project, that we could have some pretty big shifts between real property and personal property, depending on how that gets classified with our accountants. We've got a lot of expenditures in fixtures and equipment that could probably go either way, all right? But overall, the combination of the two is in excess of what we talked about. And I think we're confident that we're gonna end up hiring probably a few more employees than what we had talked about originally. Salaries will be in excess of what we talked about, you know, originally. And I think mostly from a high level, we and the community are really, really excited about the project. Things are all going very well. So I'm gonna let Grant maybe talk through some specifics on the forms, and then either of us can answer questions.
Hello, good evening. Grant Canese, like Andy mentioned, I'm the Vice President of Finance at Wabash Valley Produce. Thank you for the opportunity. We always appreciate the time and being able to discuss our project with the council. Really talking about CF1 for the personal property and the real property, with the main focus being on sections 3 and 4. And Andy kind of hit on a lot of the high notes already, but I just wanted to walk through it briefly. And if you guys have any questions, feel free. I believe we sent over some copies. If anyone doesn't have a copy, I've got extra copies. So I'd like to start with the personal property. In section 3, as Andy alluded to, we originally said we were going to hire 31 employees. As of the end of 24, we were at 29 employees. But a little more current update, as of today, we're at 37 employees hired in the foods plant. So already 6 in excess, and I think there may be 1 or 2 outstanding openings yet to fill. You'll notice on the salaries there, we're about half of what the estimated will be, and that's a full year estimate. It was on the SB1, and the actual was less than that in 24 because of the ramp up towards the end of the year, where most of our hiring again. In 2025, we will far exceed the $2 million that was in the estimate. Going down to section 4 of the personal property, and down here you'll see there's not a lot going on here, but the 2 big items, obviously the cost on the SB1 of personal property, we estimated about 31.2 or 38.2 million. As of the end of 24, we were already 50.6 million or 50.5 million, with another, I would say probably about 4 or 5 million that's happened since 2024. So we're going to far exceed that. And then the cost of the logistical distribution equipment, that $839,000, that was also spending that's happened since. That's kind of the last phase of the project, that a lot of racking and shipping equipment that went in. Then if we turn to the real property, section 3 is identical to section 3 on the previous form. So I won't go over that again. But in section 4, you'll see we proposed $24 million of spend, of cost associated with real property. As of now, that's 13.8 million approximately. And we spent an additional $1 million on that as well since the end of the calendar year. Now this is kind of where Andy was talking about the cost segregation, and we kind of knew this, and I believe Andy's mentioned this before in his discussions with council, but this is really kind of a which bucket did these costs go into? Is it personal or real? And some of this gets a little gray, and that's why we're gonna have the third party report done on it from Forvis, and we're expecting that in the next few months. But it's really gonna take all of our spending to be done complete before they can issue a final report.
We could see some of the personal property shift into real property, which could tighten
Yes.
those up. There's just some items that could go either way. If you add the two up together, our original estimate was, call it $63 million. And we're already at 63 or 64 million without the expenditures from this year.
Combined.
Combined. We're just waiting to see how the two are gonna come together. And we agreed to kind of come and provide this update because it's time, but we'll have a more specific update for you guys once we close out the project, get that cost segregation set back, we capitalize everything on our books, we'll have a really good feel for it.
So with that, I mean, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer any of the questions you might have.
I'm gonna direct a question then. So how would this affect the abatement process here for this coming year? This is all, we're setting this now for 2025.
Page 26, that is correct.
So if we, this is months away of kind of getting this, or is this gonna be next?
I think we will, by the end of 2025, we will have closed out the project and I think we'll have all of the reporting done, and we will know categories of costs as they've been reported.
I think we said grant at the latest by October 1.
I think so.
Hopefully prior to that.
Yes.
So how would that affect the tax?
It is my understanding that for the real property, they have you assessed at 100% for the project. Is that true? I spoke to the assessor's office earlier today. And for the addition, and they had you at 100% done on January 1.
I haven't checked the assessment. I'd have to check
Okay.
the most recent assessment.
Okay, because I do have.
That's,
but
See, what
he
will
was up-
abate is
he
what
was
they
just
had as
out
of
there.
January 1, this year.
That's what I say. So
And then next year, it'll be another January 1 that'll be for next year.
So when he was out there, I assumed that he figured that the building was 100%.
And it would have been really close,
Okay,
as of January 1, it would have been very close because we started producing some products the first week of February. It's just wasn't fully complete. There was pieces of
there's
equipment
equipment
probably
still going in.
going in and some modifications because we're producing multiple products, out of there. So we can work with you guys however.
Yeah.
okay. And then I
Whatever you guys
assume that
need.
you'll get the personal property returns to the assessor's office by the due date of May 15th.
Correct.
Okay.
So if, I'm just thinking here, we had projected 24 million, and I don't have it, but let's say it's 90% abated the first year. So it really is a lower amount that's gonna be abated. I mean, do we all agree with that, or is that correct?
I don't have the real.
But I'm just saying,
I would think it'd be the actual amount in both cases, right? If the real, my understanding is if the real property comes in lower and the personal property is higher, then the abatement follows whatever the actuals are in both
because
cases.
we're paying in arrears, so.
Yeah, I think it's,
Okay, all right.
we can get that trued up. I think we've always felt like the dollars on the whole, we were gonna be pretty good at estimating that, probably go over a little bit, such as, the way projects work these days.
Right.
And I think we're pretty pleased with how it's come in. We're not wildly over. We might be 5%, 10% over, but we've always thought that we could have some swings. We may not, okay, but we could have some swings both ways because the nature of the project is, I'll just give one example. There's a lot of dollars in utilities, okay? Freezing equipment, that type of stuff. Sometimes that gets classified as personal, sometimes it's real, it just depends. There's a lot of stuff that's kind of right on the border.
Okay, it makes sense to me. So,
And we'll work with you however, and I would just, the last comment I would make is, I think, I think we feel this is gonna be a great asset for, Du Bois and for our county. We feel it's a great asset for our business in terms of, potential future growth. It's a new growth avenue for us, and, our group and our family and the company are extremely appreciative of your guys' support.
Any questions? Otherwise, really appreciate the explanation, and I think we would make a motion then to give approval.
Say they're in compliance.
I mean,
Just say they're in
under
compliance.
So, anybody want to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
I'll second
Meredith made a motion and Brian seconded, so further discussion? Otherwise, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you for coming in, appreciate it.
Appreciate that, Mike, and we will get you the updates. As soon as this stuff is finished, we'll just work with you guys and with Kaiser's office, and we'll get you all the updates you need, and we'll figure it out.
Great.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Good luck in getting it completely.
We're close, real close.
Yeah, I've got some.
Oh, you can give me the lid.
Okay.
That'll help. I mean,
Maybe sign the copy.
Okay, great.
Nothing changed from the draft.
Okay, sounds good. All right.
thank you.
That sounds fine. I appreciate it. All right, take care of it.
Do they need to sign it? They're not, so it's just. And I'll sign it.
So we're a little ahead of the game. Colton, did you want to speak to the council tonight, or?
No, not unless you want to hear my voice for a while, but no, I'm just here to be here, being engaged.
We got a lot to cover, we have a lot of people here, but we got a lot to cover tonight.
Let's see it.
See ya.
So we're a little ahead of the game. Do we want to? Donnie, are you here for just to hear?
Yeah.
Or did you want to present something?
She's gonna have you sign so she can,
Okay, and, sorry, thanks for your work.
Sure.
Sweet.
So, I just want to sign right there and send a little test for signature. That is for the real property and compliance, and then this is for the personal. And those copies to them. We're gonna make some
You know,
changes this year.
I don't know how to do this, it's kind of a bad timing.
It is. All right.
I will say,
I'll just
you can just take
their
her.
office might be happy, the trailer bill for,
You want me to sign it?
DLGF set kept it at $80,000 for the first year for a personal property. So you don't have that $1 million stuff anymore. Allegedly.
For trailers.
Yeah, for a trailer with it, so they stepped it back, so it's still at $80,000.
Is that when you say trailer, is that a residence, or is this a tractor over the road trailer?
No, sorry, with the legislation, you don't have the step up for personal property anymore. It was going to be $1 million next year, then $2 million step threshold. They walked it back with a trailer bill, so they came back together and walked it back. So it'll hit $2 million, that's in 2026.
So in 25, it's still 80,
Yes,
and then in 26, it goes to 2.
yes.
Okay.
So it buys a little bit more time to digest it.
What do you call those, a trailer?
A trailer bill, yeah.
Like what they
So
attached on at the
very-
end?
Yeah, very end. I think they ended at like 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, something like that.
Oh, wow.
The final little tweaks that they do,
Angie
Trailer.
had said that, but she couldn't find it in print yet, so good to know.
yeah, they updated it on their Bill Watch website, I think.
Okay.
There's just so
That
much we
might
don't
be
know
helpful
yet.
for you. Sorry?
There's a lot of things we don't know yet that they approved.
I'm trying to keep up.
Yeah, just sit there.
So, Donna, did you wanna, I mean, you're welcome to come up. You know, we got the information, the HR director gave us the information on the proposed hire for the engineer. I
Okay,
didn't know what else.
he gave you everything?
He gave us the.
Or this is his, you got the application?
He gave everybody.
You all have one? Okay, I didn't know if you had one or not.
I got the email, so I'll look at it.
It's easier to look at. Thank you.
So it appears,
You got one?
I'll take him. I mean, it appears that he was interviewed by the council, yourself, I mean, the commissioners, and
Commissioners,
yourself.
and me, and Marky.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean,
And,
he gave us a pretty detailed thing. What we have to come up with is do we want to approve the additional funding?
Right.
And what I was wanting to do is suggest to the council that we would take the money from the Cume Bridge Fund. Sandy indicates that instead of the general fund.
Now,
The highway.
Brent, he does well over 50% for the bridge, so it could easily be.
Brent is currently paid totally, or the engineer's salary is totally paid out of highway funds.
Okay.
But he does do Cume Bridge work,
Yes.
so we could justify paying some of this from Cume Bridge. Now, we do get $40,000 reimbursed to us from the state for having a PE on staff. So I don't know if we have to we'll have to percentage that out, or if that can all just go to the highway fund. That I haven't got word on
I'm
yet.
sure about that, but you know, you can do that.
That's something we could work on later on.
For this year, we can figure that out. Now, I don't know in the future if you guys want to just say, this is just a one-time, we'll take it out of here now, and then at budget time, put it back. Or if you always want to split it, that's yet to be determined.
The other, I mean, my other thought, you know, I mean, we got about a, deficit of about $17,800 roughly. What about, we always run into this when someone retires or someone, what about payoff for the current engineer?
Well, I was talking with Ann about that, and we haven't got final numbers because we didn't know how many days Brent was going to take in this 2-week period. But I think we're going to have an overlap, possibly of a week.
Possibly. Well, he's leaving May 2nd.
Right, but he has enough time at 75% that he'll have like 15 days.
Yeah.
And if just, depending when this person starts, we may have an overlap. So we may need more money to pay him out.
I mean, would we try to do that tonight, I guess would be my question.
I don't have any concrete numbers, and I can't advertise until May 18th. I mean, for your next meeting, I can't advertise because it was too late to advertise for tonight. So,
Okay, so we kind of got.
Probably
the facts
first
in.
start like on the 27th anyway.
So-
That's what Marky had.
right. So Ann and I are kind of working on those numbers to advertise for the next meeting. We just needed your direction on where you want us to take it from.
So I guess I'm gonna ask the council, I mean, we all know who this is. I don't think we publicly should say.
I agree.
I'd like to just use it as a, this person or this, the future engineer or whatever, because I don't want to jeopardize it, because if we don't approve this, then that's gonna put him in a bad position. So, Don is here, so I'll open the floor to the council and let them, if you have any questions on what we should do, what we've run into. I mean, I've heard it a couple of times, and I've met with the engineer and Downey about, there's just a scarcity of this type of individual that they're not out there to hire. There's not 10 of them that we're looking at. I think my understanding is we paid a couple of companies and did some deep searches to try to find someone. We're up against we're in a rural county. A lot of these engineers are in Indianapolis and Louisville and whatever. So, I'll open the floor to anyone who wants to address it.
We had several apply, but they was from different countries, Pennsylvania, Oregon. The closest one besides this one here was from Washington, Indiana, but he did not have the same engineer degree as what we need. So this in here was pretty much the only one, but he seems perfect. He did meet up with Brent, and he works for the state. He seemed like a super kid. And I just think he would fit in very well. I talked to a lot of other engineers and asked around as far as other engineers. They're making 130, well, Brent's leaving for another 30,000 more. So, we're gonna, and I don't want to him, but I mean, we're behind on a lot of different things. But, maybe we ought to start with him because we really need it. I mean, we're saving a lot of money by designing and building with our own bridge crew, our own bridges and boxes in Dubois County. We're the only one in Dubois County that builds and designs our own bridges.
I mean, in the state.
Yeah, in the state, yes, sorry. So, I mean, we're saving a lot of money, lots of money.
So we're the only one that would get that money from the state for this?
Well, if you have a PE on staff, you get it. We're one of the only ones that has a bridge crew.
Yes.
Because they established your Cume Bridge tax here, and we use that money that has to be used on buildings and bridges and approaches for Cume Bridges only.
So, yeah.
I think that $40,000, that's something we forget a lot of times. I knew about it, when we addressed it a few years ago, but I don't think I touched it in the budget hearing this past year. But it is something when you take that off, it makes that
Yeah, it used
salary
to.
that we're actually
He's
paying.
not the only one that gets money back too for pay in different departments. So just want to put that out there.
He's one of a few.
One of a few, but he's not the only one. So we have to, if we're gonna consider it for him, we should consider it for all.
What are the other ones?
EMA is one.
They have a grant
Grant
reimbursement
Reimbursement for pay.
for some of, they have to meet certain deliverables and then
What else is,
that's about it.
there's one other.
But with this, I have to certify him every year and then they send up his license and then they give us the money back. We just got it last week actually, and I certified in January.
So that individual has that same set of qualifications you're saying?
You want-
The prospective applicant has the same set of qualifications that you're
Yes.
changing?
Now, I mean, and I do want to say if we didn't have a PE, we wouldn't get that and we'd be paying a lot more out for somebody to review our stuff and to help plan. Because instead of $50 or $60 an hour, we'd be paying $100 and some dollars an hour for the same service.
It's just really frustrating for me because it's the second time it seems like this has happened. Once with Jason and now with Brent leaving because them asking for a little bit higher pay and then being denied for all the extra that they bring back to us or the money that they save us. It seems like
We took Brent to 100 the last round, and I mean, it wasn't like it was real contentious between us, but I mean, he seemed happy with it, but like you said, it's a limited pool on these guys, and I think this kind of foreshadows what's gonna come when you have specialized individuals that work for the county with degrees or certifications, and if we don't come to their pay terms, they will leave, but when our revenue decreases, it's gonna be a real tough situation going forward, at least for some of these jobs, to keep them. And we got Brent to 100, which he was happy with, so, but I'm glad he got another opportunity to better himself. But
A lot of employees also forget to add in their benefits. They're just looking for their take-home amounts, that those benefits really add up, and I don't know how benefits compare, with what you're receiving, but.
I do know, I mean, he was sort of thinking as far as perf wise, where he's at, they match the 3% plus they give him an additional 3%. So that's.
Okay.
the difference between 100,000 to 130,000 is still a big amount that probably isn't covered totally by benefits.
Well, anyone else got any comments or discussion?
Only just that we may have to be prepared to consider in other situations with the department's higher wages if a situation presented itself that was unique like this. But I don't want to stand in the way of us. This applicant pool was really that small. I mean, and
The timing is just not great with all the unknowns coming with all
Yeah.
this. That's the end of being fun, and so.
Yeah, Marky did go out there pretty far, Indeed and.
We did
somewhere
Indeed, we
else.
did,
I believe all that.
I mean, there was 3 or 4 of them that we did, and we paid for those
It's just very
services.
specialized.
I trust your judgment. I'm just.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
unique situation.
Yeah, my comments are only just preparing ourselves for other, situations.
In theory, we're trying to decide if we're gonna come up with the difference of $18,000.
I mean, that's.
Right.
Well, it might be a little bit more with the payout and with benefits.
We're probably looking at 20,000.
And Ann and I will calculate that this week.
So my question would be, do we gain that back in benefits by having him? And it seems like the answer to that is
I would think yes.
I would think definitely yes.
I mean,
And Brent not only did all that for us, he did our ADA compliance, he
Yeah,
He does our
pretty much every
inventory of our
project,
roads.
Brent kinda told me.
our GASB reporting for our inventory of
will they
roads.
be able to work together, these two with Brent, before Brent leaves?
That sounds
Brent
like
said,
The overlap is
he'd be
about,
gone
yeah,
on Friday.
Brent said he would come back in, or he did say that, I don't know if he still would, but he said he'll come back in for a day and talk to him. And he said his phone's always open, he said he can, if you got any questions or anything. And this kid, he seems like I said, he seems very, very knowledgeable, very knowledgeable.
So tonight, we would just have to,
Consensus for me to advertise. And then I'll bring an increased, amended salary ordinance to pay him more and all that next time.
So I mean, as far as a decision making, it's probably closer to $20,000 roughly. We'd have to figure tonight.
Okay.
So who's in favor of additional $20,000? So, okay. So we can move on with it, you know, we're gonna have our next meeting in May and we'll,
We thank you very, very much. I mean, that's, means a lot to me and
yeah, I know.
yeah, it's just, it would have been a lot if we,
Well, it's a heck
Go
of a,
too long
it's a heck
without-
of a void that,
yeah,
you know, when
it's
you,
kind of scary.
you know, no, I don't think it's
Oh,
true.
no,
Put
I
you in
was-
that position.
I was thinking you might go back to school and do some tuition
sorry, but.
Did you go
Thanks for taking the time to come in and
Alrighty, and then, I'll go ahead and say the appropriations, so I would say you don't have to do it. As far as, we wanna take out 10,000 of the highway and put it in, insurance, do you have all the papers there?
yes,
And then, wanna take out another 90,000 for bituminous, and another 810,000 for the highway paving. And then wanna take out of the local road and street, 70,000 for stone, 200,000 for bituminous, and another 200,000 for paving projects.
so then we want, while he's here, we want to just vote on these as we go here.
Yeah, I'm trying to look for my papers here. Okay, I'm ready. Okay, the highway, other services, 10,000 for insurance.
Can
And that's
you,
for all the trucks,
is that just an increase in premium? Is
yeah,
Well,
there's,
and I'm gonna have the same thing with the county. Our insurance liability, that kind of insurance has just gone up.
and plus we're getting a new track, so, getting another new pickup, two more new dump trucks, so.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve that $10,000 additional appropriation for insurance.
Make that motion.
I'll second. Meredith has made a motion, Brian has seconded. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
And then, on the highway restricted, 90,000 for bituminous.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve that 90,000 for bituminous.
I'll make the motion.
Sonia has made a motion, I have a second.
I'll second.
Brian has seconded. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay.
On capital outlay paving projects, 810,000.
Okay, 810,000 for the paving projects. Discussion? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve the 810,000.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Ryan has made a motion, may I have a second?
A second.
Alex has seconded. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed?
Okay, local road and street for supplies, stone, 70,000.
Okay, this is just your stock, right?
Yes.
Okay, just
Stock,
your
yeah.
stock,
Rip-ups, dig-ups.
okay. And do you get that, do they try, do you still triaxle a lot of this, or is this shipped
Well,
in?
we do a lot ourselves, but then of course we get behind, either mulchers, arcades, and shit there.
Okay. So I entertain a motion to approve that if there's no discussion.
I'll make a motion to approve the 70,000.
Okay, so Ryan has made a motion, Wayne.
I'll second.
Meredith is seconded. Further discussion? Otherwise, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
Local road and street supplies bituminous, 200,000.
And 200,000, that's kind of self-explanatory. So, questions or,
I'll make a motion to approve.
Ryan has made a motion, and I have a second.
I'll second.
Sonia has seconded. Further discussion? Otherwise, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
And the last one, other services, paving projects, 200,000 from local road and street.
And again, self-explanatory, unless you have questions. Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve that 200,000.
Make the motion to approve the 200.
So Ryan has made a motion, may I have a second?
I'll second.
Meredith is seconded. So further discussion? Otherwise, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Thanks again, John,
Right.
for your work on the new hauler and hope it works out and all this work.
All right, thank you very much, appreciate it.
You're kind of that
You want in?
baptized by fire out
If you want me to take them, I will.
Yeah, thanks, I don't need it. If you want them.
Yep, I'll take them.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Okay, Scott, we'll be ready. Scott, are you a little bit behind here, sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. Good evening. I'm gonna pass out. We'll do a little show and tell first here before we get too far into this, if I don't have them messed up. I don't think I do. Send there's a copy for you. We're gonna do a little before and after, if you guys don't mind. Won't take up much of your time this evening. As you see when we go through the photos, it was definitely needed. All right, Scott Schnell, 4-H Council. Good evening, Council. So this evening, I'm here to make a little show and tell presentation, talk about the swine barn project that you guys graciously funded for us. I think we'll start off first with the documents that you have that are stapled landscape. Those were some of the screenshots from a pre-construction video we did. You can obviously see the condition of the wooden post. The floor had, those very large cracks in it. Basically the west half of the building was sliding down the hill out there. So, it was a process. I think President Kleesner and President Blessinger from the commissioners, we walked it, I think Super Bowl Sunday of 2024, and talked a lot about that building, the buildings out at the fairgrounds, and it kind of got us to this point. So now the ones that are landscape, or I'm sorry, portrait, so you can see that the first one up there is the post. That's how they temporarily supported the roof. And then the next one to the right there, so that was the southwest corner post. That was supposed to be a 6x6 post, supposed to be this big square. When they got down and excavated it, there was only about 2 inches of it left. The rest of it had rotted off, so.
Is it a dirt?
This one here?
Yeah, that one there, yeah.
I was like, it's all in dirt. Was it in concrete?
It was in concrete, yeah. Yeah, they did, you know, the building had been there since late 60s, early 70s. So as you guys remember the scope, they took down the prior wooden wall that was there. They poured a POF Construction poured a concrete wall, poured a footer and stuff for us. And as you go through there, you can just thumb through those. So the first page has got some of the construction. The second page there, you can see where they've got the footer in place. And then the bottom two there, they've got the form set to pour the wall. So it's got a brick texture on the outside to get a little bit of a architecture to it, and then of course smooth on the inside so it's easy to clean. So the picture with the third page, picture with the tape measure, that's that post. You can see there's only 2 inches of that post remaining. They did some work on the south wall. The next two pictures on this page here with the tape measure, those two pictures are the 4x4s for the south wall. They were rotted off. And then the fourth picture on that page, you can see where they've started on the floor. So at this point, the wall's up. They have started on the north end of the floor up through there. And then when we get to the last two pages are baked, you know, the floor's done, the south wall's done. On the north and south end, the 2x6s, the newer ones, they replaced those. And then the last page, the last two photos are of the exterior of the wall and then the finished floor in there. They put the drain back in at the same elevation. We use the same grates and all that stuff. So that was like a very short tutorial there, but that was basically the work. It was done. POFs, if you guys, let's see if you don't mind going to, they did some extra work for us outside the scope. If you go to the one that's in landscape, the first picture, you'll see the temporary bracing and then the other post. So the scope of the work was to cut the existing posts off, pour the wall, and then reattach them. After we got out there, a lot of those posts were not in good condition. So POF Construction talked to Carson, the superintendent out there, and myself, a handful of us went out and looked at it. We decided to go ahead and replace the posts. I do want to mention, and you can see that like in the back pictures back there that show the wall, you can see they replaced them all the way to the trusses. That was done out of the scope of the contract. POF Construction would have been entitled to a change order for the work. They made an in-kind donation. I could never get a solid number. I'm guessing probably somewhere in the $2,500 range of labor that they donated to do that. Like I said, they were entitled to a change order. It was out of the scope, and we decided to move forward with it. So we are very appreciative of them to do that for us. So, but we are wrapped up. We found a grant. We've got some new hog pens ordered. Hopefully they'll be here by fair. So that's our hope. The swine committee and all those guys they are tickled pink. They're happier than a hog in a trough, I guess. So they are very excited. So if you guys remember back, the county gave us $125,000 as a line item for swine barn and building maintenance. POF's original contract was $107,052, which they did not change. Like I said, they gave us an in-kind donation. So we'd like to move forward with, we're all under the impression as council, I've spoken to President Kleesner about it as well. You know, we'd like to move forward. That gives us a balance of $17,948. We have still got a lot of projects out there. We want to put riprap on the west side of that, swine barn now. That way it's going to be easier to maintain. It was never maintained properly because the bank was so steep. We do have all new gutters and downspouts going in there, as well as all the other buildings. We were fortunate enough to find a grant to do that. We do believe that that is going to be a little bit larger. The price is going to be a little bit larger than what the quote was. So, you know, we can put that $17,948 towards that. There's sliding doors that need work. The horse barn roof needs paint. I guess, you know, we obviously had spoken to President Kleesner late last week, and, you know, we'd like to move forward, you know, and use up to that $125,000 that you guys had in the line item for a budget for us, since it was already budgeted for this year. We have definitely got projects that we can use it on. It, you know, it will not go to waste. So,
I mean, I reviewed looked at our budget book and the comments we had made. I thought there was going to be storm sewers put in to get that water off that hill. Is that still?
there is, yep, we got somebody under contract to do that. We've actually got 2 different storm sewer projects as well. That was some more grant money that we found. So they are working on that. They're gonna put some storm sewer by the EB buildings, which is the long, narrow ones when you come in. Plus, we've got some flooding issues between the cattle barn and the sheep barn. That's gonna be addressed. So all of that stuff we're working that way. You know, it didn't get that way overnight, and it won't get fixed overnight, but we're working towards it.
So was this a local grant that you got to do all this guttering?
That I can't speak to. We got a gentleman on the council, and you know, he's been fishing them around. I mean, they were even like Casey's convenience stores. He got a grant for $1,000. You know, which doesn't sound like, but $1,000 is $1,000, and some of them were, you know, 30,000. I think I can't really speak to where they all came from and what the totals were. I just know they were available, and we're planning projects based on that. So. Yes, sir.
During the ice storm this winter, one of the AC units got tore off and they replaced it. Where was the replacement money come from for that?
I believe all we had to do was pay for the unit out of our line item. I believe the labor for that was donated, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember all the specifics of that. But you're correct. The ice storm took the snow and ice slid off and took an AC unit off it was mounted on the wall for the pavilion. So.
And the hog barn, is there only going to be a big wash on the north side now?
No, we met with the swine committee, and since we had to disrupt that loading area on the southwest side, they're going to modify that to suit their needs better, so they'll be able to wash swine on the north side of the barn, plus in the southwest corner down here where the new wall is. So, I mean, obviously that was the time when it was all taken apart. We reached out to them and said, you know, is there anything? And they're like, oh yeah. We're like, come on out, let's talk.
Like I said, I looked at my notes when we did the budget. We knew that this was not going to cost. I think at that time it was $97,000.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if I remember right in my notes say, I think we decided to help you get these buildings in better shape.
Yeah.
Because when we walked that thing, we knew it indicated, just about what you addressed here tonight.
Yeah.
There's just something the 4-H is responsible for the buildings, but it's an image of Du Bois County. And I think that's what we talked about during the budget, if I remember. So I think we should, I support, I guess, allowing them to continue to do with the rest of the money to do building improvements and that only, not You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
So
Was the 120,000 just for the swine barn repair? Or was it worded
That's what he's talking
as
about.
far as just general repairs? I mean, the motion, was it for just the swine barn or was it other? So
There-
I'm just wondering if we
it was-
have to do another motion to.
It wasn't really a
appropriate that.
motion, it was put in the budget.
yeah, it
So
was
it's
a
just-
120, there was 125 budgeted.
So they
For
can use
repairs, or was it for maintenance?
repair.
So do we even need to do anything?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
That's what I'm asking, I'm like, is it for repairs in general?
Well, we didn't want-
Specific? 'Cause
we
if
didn't
it's
want-
different, then we need to do two different things.
Yeah,
we didn't want him to come and spend it all, and then you guys go, wait a minute.
yeah,
He's trying to be transparent in, I used this, now I could use this as
Well,
well.
I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
With your
I appreciate it.
appropriation.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah, so the 125 was appropriate, it's a line item in a budget for, for 2025, and of course, it'll, go away at the end of the
It's
year.
kind of an update, really.
Yes, yeah, just like I said, we didn't want to get crossways with the county council or anything on this, so.
I'll be looking forward to see how far you can stretch this $17,000, what else you can get done.
Me too.
You guys have done a
Yeah.
lot, I mean,
Thank you
Yeah.
for the
it's some
pictures.
grants and it's looking good.
Thank you for the pictures.
Oh, you're certainly welcome, and you guys, anytime, Sandy's got my number, or Mike's gonna just, you guys wanna go out and walk around the place anytime, day or night, let us know.
I mean, I was out there, after we took.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it looks good and it looks like somewhat of a bargain.
Yeah,
When you look at the cost of what was done and what needed.
oh, yeah, and, we had absolutely no hesitation with, we knew going in, Pops were not, Pop Construction, we weren't, had any reservations about hiring them, they got there, they stayed there, they didn't drag it on, of course, they had a final completion date in the contract, because the barn had to be set up for fair, but that was, I think, the end of May, so they were nowhere close to that, they were done probably a week ago or better, so, but they got in there and stayed with it and got it completed, so,
I mean,
Sounds like we have a lot to thank for them and their extra effort
yes.
that they offered.
Yeah.
The only thing I need to note up here tonight is don't expect that in 2026.
Yeah.
Because, we pushed up your operating budget
Mhm.
last year by $10,000 or $20,000.
Yes.
I don't think the money, we're gonna have the financial ability to do a whole lot for 2026.
Yeah, I work across on the side of the square, so I know. Yep, appreciate it.
Is
Jonathan.
was there 3 or did I get an extra?
Oh, you might have, that's probably that one, you might have gotten the next one.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I thought either I got something I shouldn't have, or
Yeah.
somebody didn't get one.
Yeah, so, appreciate your time.
Are you fundraising to potentially replace a culvert with any other building?
That is a big task, like $1 million plus probably to really renovate that. We have, we've had some architects look at it. It's gonna take a lot of work. It's nowhere close to ADA compliant. Everything is outdated. The electric, the HVAC, or there's only heat in it. In the big part, the office and stuff's air conditioned. But we've looked at that. That would be, yeah. It's on our list, but we get a nosebleed looking up to that one. That would be a lot of work. We have, like I said, we've had some architects look at it and give us some scope of what it would take to get it compliant and make it, more versatile and whatever. So we're working that way. Whether I'll see it on council in my 3 years, if I got remain or not, I don't know, but we're heading that direction. If you don't start talking, you don't start talking.
No.
So. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Yep, appreciate it. Have a good evening. Thanks, Sandy.
Thank you.
So. Moving on.
Okay. The Bird's Eye wastewater resolution, I have 2025-03. That you would all, you will provide $350,000 from the local edit income tax as matching funds for the town's wastewater improvement project.
Okay, and that's, again, contingent on receipt of that funding. So we, I guess we had a consensus last time, so I guess
Need a motion.
we need a motion. If we got discussion first, or if they not change their mind on that, or?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Okay.
I'll second.
So Dina's, Ryan's made a motion and Dina's second. Discussion? Otherwise, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
Okay, just needs your and my signature, Mike. I don't know why they prepared it that way, but that's what they did. Okay, and then the circuit court, Judge Verkamp has applied for Title 4E funding. When the program will reimburse us for public defense costs associated with children in need of services and termination of parental rights. That'll reimburse when they hire paupers or attorneys to do those cases. That money goes back to county general, which pays those funds. But then with that, there's an incentive fund that they can get for the first 2 years that we're in the program. So they'll get $2,000 per quarter for the first year, $500 per quarter for the second year, and that's per court, so that they think we'll get about $12,000 in the for 2 years. And it has to go into this incentive fund that I need you guys to approve me setting up. And then that money can be used by the courts.
So it's a whole new fund.
It would be a whole new fund. I just need permission to set it up.
Okay. Discussion of that, or that, to me, it makes sense.
Seems great. Set it up.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve that, setting up that new fund.
Make the motion.
Okay, Alex has made a motion, and a second.
I'll second.
Doug is seconded, so discussion. Otherwise, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
Okay, we'll do. Okay, I've got some additional. In the general fund, I, as well as what Donnie talked about, need more building insurance, vehicle liability insurance, $40,000.
So that, I think that's, does anybody want to question that, or any issues there?
Does that take us through the rest of the year?
I hope so. We renew in February, and I had a couple of different things, and then we had an earthquake in policy that it comes in March, and I wasn't thinking about it, so I'm hoping we're done. I asked him Bell that. I said, is this the last of them? Because I just got the cyber plan. That's in May, so I hope so.
Other questions? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve the $40,000 in additional liability.
I'll move.
Okay. Dina has made a motion, and I have a second.
I'll second.
Sonia is second. So further discussion? Otherwise, all in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
We may have new vehicles or something like that that I can't predict. Q cap. Well, I have the additional appropriation for sheriff vehicles that you guys did that you consensus for last month at $120,000.
So, yes, we found out that they bought another vehicle on the commissary after we approved these two.
Yep.
So, might have changed my mind.
What did they buy out of the commissary? Another
I didn't know that.
Another truck.
a pickup truck?
They traded in a Ford Explorer that was having some mechanical issues and got a truck, and they used commissary for that.
I did not know that.
Does the commissary then flip the bill for the insurance and any additionals?
No.
And we don't have to approve it or anything?
Commissioners did it after the fact.
Makes sense.
I think they talked to Chad on that weekend, and then we put it in the minutes after the fact.
Okay, so I guess we're on this 120,000 that we kind of had consensus, so I'll entertain a motion to approve that 120,000 additional appropriation.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Brian has made a motion, we have a second. I'll second it. Further discussion, everyone's all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
I brought this up last time about the courthouse security. I needed $3,866 more to finish that whole project. So
I think we discussed
We get that out of
pretty well
Keep
in
Cap?
detail. I don't know.
Is it done?
Well, after you approve this, I sign the contracts tomorrow, and then we'll start on the project. Castro's aware that we're in the process.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Okay, Ryan has made a motion to approve it, may I have a second?
I'll second.
Alex, seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
In Kim Cap, I think Stuart had sent you all an email about needing a fencing around the tower. $5,000.
I guess they're, I wonder who drew that to his attention, I didn't catch that in that, I didn't, did he said that, or? Anyway, it probably is a safety factor, some kids are falling up in there.
Yeah.
Fall off or something, so.
If you need more, I can call him,
Any
but
issues
we
with
got a
that
parent meeting.
discussion on it? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve the $5,000 to fence or gate the communications tower out of the.
I'll make a motion.
Pardon me?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Doug has made a motion, and I have a second.
I'll second.
Dina has seconded, so
It was $4,366.
I think we're approving $5,000.
$5,000.
He's gonna do some rocking, and he's gonna do that work. He's gonna do that, he said himself, but
Yeah,
to
we're
get the
like one of
rocks
the
and
only places that doesn't have fence around their
well,
towers
I
and
can't
stuff,
believe we
so.
didn't have it around there. So I don't know what happened or why, but.
Okay, so we got a, go ahead.
Well, I was just reading that other part because I thought it was more. What is it in that thing? It says $6,200.
Wasn't there 3 different quotes?
And then the
He
option
had-
to install gravel inside the fence was another $2,900.
He had 3 different quotes from people, and we took the lowest quote, and then he said he would do that work himself
Got it. Yeah, that was the ace in there. That was nice.
versus having somebody else do that.
Okay, so we're clear, it's $5,000. We got a motion and approval on the floor, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
The next one I have is for the lit, for the Bird's Eye wastewater, $350,000. You just kind of signed it, so, but this is the additional.
Oh, okay.
I guess I should have done it at the same
So
time.
that's all right,
So you need another motion for that? I'll make a motion for that.
Okay, so Ryan has made a motion,
And I'll second.
okay, Dina has seconded, so we discussed it, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
All in favor? I need the all in favor, or did you guys do that?
Yeah.
Okay, I missed it. Sorry. Okay. St. Charles Maintenance.
See, that's the storm damage,
Oh, that's the repair to the
soffit.
canopy.
Canopy soffit. And he's got pictures sent to us and he's, he's waiting to, there's a 30-day window that he needed to wait, so he's wanting to release him here. I talked to him this morning about it, so, Scott Oak, so. I think, when we looked at that, I think, I don't know if you guys understand, it's aluminum, it's residential aluminum. Well, when it gets the deflection with like a hurricane or a tornado that sucks, there's a sucking motion, it sucks that down and then it pops up. And it's when you see the picture. So what we want to do is use pre-finished metal skin that would be screwed at every truss. So it can't be drawn out of there. And then he has to take I think there's 3 lights down or 4 lights that he has to take down and put a cover so it drops it down further, like a little retainer thing. So it seems like a good fix, for the future. So, I'll entertain a motion to approve the $9,300 so we can proceed with the work.
I'll make the motion to approve. Get it done.
Ryan has made a motion, and I have a second.
I second that.
Meredith has seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
And I think we talked about this, the opioid restricted fund, money. We used some of that money for the night officer, and now Wyatt needs more for drug screens, which we transferred it out, and now he thinks he needs more.
And he's doing those through the health department yet? I thought. The drug
No,
screen.
this is drug screens on his participants, I believe. He might be doing them out there.
I thought he was, but that's okay. Any questions or discussion there? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve the $17,000 on opioid restricted fund.
I'll make the motion.
Sonia has made a motion, and I have a second.
Sorry.
Alex has seconded. Further discussion? Otherwise, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
And then I have 2 transfers. The treasurer's office found he needed $456.72 more in postage, and he'd like to take that from his comp time line item.
First, I don't see any issue with that, so I'll entertain a motion and discussion.
Make the motion.
Okay, Doug has made a motion, and I have a second.
I'll second.
Dina has seconded, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
The supplies to fix it.
Fix it himself, more or less, maybe. Okay, questions on that? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve that for transfer, that's $7,000. Dina has made a motion.
I'll second.
And Ryan seconded, so further discussion? Otherwise, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
And I've got, I think you all received another email from Stuart about the electrical panel. He has estimated, Wire Electric gave a $5,215 estimate to move it to where it could be monitored. I don't have a whole lot more on that.
I'm not really digging that yet. I think we should look into that a little bit more. I'm not too thrilled in moving those and moving those connections. And why was it moved? I would ask
Why
the
was it put there
architect.
to begin with?
I mean,
I requested it. I mean, why?
I think we need a little more information on that, and I think there's a better alternative.
So,
I
So
think we should be on the
question
hook
that you
for it
just
since
come
we
up
already requested something different.
I just know it can be done, so
Why should we be on the hook when we
yeah.
put it in there to be placed somewhere different?
Did we answer the question that you have?
I think that Mike may know better than me, but I think the architect put it in there, or designed it to be in there. And,
But then didn't we
But
multiple
Stewart's-
times say that it needed to be in a different area? I thought that's what
I
Stewart
think
was
that's what
saying.
he's saying.
It was mentioned multiple times to the contractors that it needs to be in a different place, so I
But
don't
if
see
it-
why it's on us to pay.
Was
To
there
be
a
honest.
change order or something? Was it designed to be in there originally? I mean, where
I'm
where
just
they
going
installed
with
it?
what Stewart said. I'll probably need to follow up with him, but
I think, my suggestion, maybe if you do talk to Stuart, that maybe we need to call the architect or the electrical engineer, designer, and see why they put it there, with his issue. I mean, that'd be the question I would ask. Because I don't remember, in all our discussions during construction, I don't remember that ever being brought up, that, to me, it's a kind of somewhat of an afterthought. That they were assuming it was gonna be there and it didn't end up there. So,
I thought it, per that email that he had sent out recently, he sent another one responding to the question I had about the Wi-Fi. I feel like he's still looking into this and we should wait.
I agree, yeah.
I will, have to go to press.
2 years, so.
It's been 2 years.
Yeah, for additional appropriations, I have to go to press on Thursday, so we may miss this May meeting and just have to go to
Like he said,
June.
it's been there for 2 years. I think we'll be all right. A little while longer.
It's not an emergency.
So, we'll just table it for more information. Okay. I am working with Greg Schneer on possibly another resolution. Currently, we get money for the monument out here to maintain. We get it from the Community Foundation. The Legion accepted donations for the POW MIA monument, and they have some excess, and they'd like us to use that as well for that monument and this monument if needed. So we may have to amend our resolution to include the new
Allow
POWs,
both funds.
to allow them, because right now the resolution just says the west side, blah, 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 and I want to be able to say the monument on the east side as well. So just to kind of bring you, I'll probably bring that next time. The Legion thinks they have $6,000 to $8,000.
That's great.
The only thing they're asking is maybe possibly to put lights on the POW monument. And so they're still working through those issues, so. But just to make you aware of that. That's all I have.
Could you give us an update of, on the audit status?
They're currently working on it,
Still working on it?
still working on it. I don't really know a whole lot other than,
So when do you anticipate them?
I think they might be here another month.
Wow.
Wow, that's right.
I mean, are they at Everett County for a month?
It depends. Like last week, I mean, we've got 2 auditors here plus an intern. The intern comes 2 half days. The 2 that are here, last week, the one had to take off for something with her family. So, I mean, they're not here as much as you think they're here, even though they are. So, I mean,
Thanks. I think the courthouse, I spoke with Scott Holt this morning, the courthouse control contract, they're working on that. He thought they had the attic 3rd floor area pretty well finished in the next couple of days, and then they're gonna move down to some of the other floors, because they have to permit each office technically, and they're trying to time this around, I think, one of the judge's schedule and the trials. So, but it is moving forward. Just wanted to say a little something about the Rose Sur District. You know, we've still been speaking with them, with the Clark Dietz people and Baker Tilly. You know, that some of that application for funding through through the SRF. You know, we're supposed to be scored and possibly, you know, if they're gonna help us with this project, grants or anything like that, hopefully that would come out, I think in June frame period. But what we kind of task Clark, you know, at one of our last meetings, we kind of tasked Clark Dietz with updating their engineering costs for the construction phase and the field inspections. So we have more of a set number, even if we would get the plans done, bid it, you know, what kind of other engineering costs are we gonna have that we can kind of start looking at the big budget. And then same way with Baker Tilly, the financial arm of it. You know, we asked them, I think they had did some performance on like 340 customers up at Hayesville, and there's actually only going to be about 180. So we asked them to review that and adjust their numbers, because that affects how much sewage we put in the new Jasper plant, what percentage of we have to pay for that plant, and those kind of things. So that it's going to be an important number. And then I think maybe Dina and Chad and are working with Jasper to see, to kind of negotiate what the sewer rate is going to be for us as a, you know, for them to take that sewage. And then they're going to look at the update, more of an update of the construction costs since we've last looked at it. So that's where we're at. You know, I think rubber's going to hit the road here. You know, when we don't get the SRF funding, and you know, with the cuts we're gonna, looks like coming down from the legislature, just, you know, the affordability of this, I'll just say that they're looking at the feasibility and affordability.
If we don't favor well, what that is, I mean, we have some money, some ARPA money sitting around for that project.
Not much.
How much?
The only ARPA money we have left for the sewer district is what's contracted now with Clark Dietz for the design phase. Right now, we still owe we still have $1,062,500 left in that contract left.
And if it doesn't go forward, what can we do with it? Can we use it?
Well, you're supposed to have it obligated. There's a big old PowerPoint. I put in a call today to see if we could move it to another project, and it has to be something, she didn't call me back, so, but I did talk to the auditors that are there, and like we could use it for I'm trying to find where it is, where you can change your original contract.
Like kind, like does it have to be based around sewer? I was just thinking what we just did at Burbank.
Yes, and I did talk to them about that, and they thought, well, maybe that'd be something we could use it for. I can't find it. They thought maybe it's like, so we could maybe use it for that, but they didn't feel comfortable. They wanted me to call the state, and they didn't call me back, so.
I think until we get a little further, because we're still positive on the project. But if we can't fund it,
we just see how we rank.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if this thing's a $20 million project and we only have $1 million.
Pretty big gap.
For 150.
And see, I think we still feel that we did our ARPA funding.
Here it is.
For 150 residences, but we thought it was how many?
180.
180, but we thought it was how many?
No, the Mary, whatever, Alston, she had this 345 million. But there's no way there's that many up there.
Is that with Porterfield?
Why did that spelled out?
It could have.
Okay.
If you replace an existing contract, it has to be terminated, the old contract has to be terminated due to just default, closure, inability to perform, mutually agreed upon, and the county has to terminate for convenience when the contract is not properly awarded. You can replace the contract, it has to be substantially the same scope and same purpose as the original contract. So you couldn't just go out and say, I want to build a road.
but we could fund, we could.
But Bird's Eye possibly would be in the same scope,
Exact same school.
so, like I said.
But you know what, just so you understand, we're committed with that written contract from Park.
We're committed to that contract unless you terminate that
And we
contract.
couldn't have made that contract without having the money set aside. So we're.
Did they fulfill their contract?
Well, we're still in we're what, 50 or 60%?
60% for the last 3 years. I mean, I think we could throw a little fuss at them.
Well, they've been billing us.
Yeah. I think we didn't want to move it on too fast because we didn't know.
If we had the funding.
No,
Well, you don't want to design it and then not be able to fund it, to build it.
we didn't want it to sit on the shelf. So we kind of been.
I feel like it's been pretty stagnant.
Yeah, and we are pursuing other funding, avenues. That's just hard to come by right now.
Yeah, we put over, we budgeted, originally we budgeted 1.6 and then we added 735 to that. So they're about halfway through what they said they do.
60%.
Much of those will finish if we'll find some more funding, so we can. And that's still not all.
Of our 8.3 million, we have 1.07 left. So, we've spent a lot of our ARPA money.
And we've done a lot of things.
We have done a lot of things.
We've improved a lot.
Yeah, we just submitted our report. It's due at the end of this month and we've just submitted it last week, so.
But I just wanted to counsel, it is still being pursued, by normally a weekly meeting or, but it's just, we're stuck in areas. Because, this SRF funding is going to be a big part of it, how we rank. So I just want to bring the council. The other thing is the solid waste vehicles, we appropriated $60,000 and Carla, she was able to, she brought up, she was able to get the 2 truck vehicles and with the modifications and that kind of thing, I think it's like $52,000 roughly that she spent. And she got $8,000 for the wrecked Ranger and then the pickup of the Zuzu. I think she got $2,555 for it. So that's all being returned to Cuba County. So just want to let you know, after she got the vehicle, she did a little bit of upgrade on the cover.
Bed cover and
that kind of thing, just to make it safe and operational for them. And then the registration forms and that kind of thing. So she wanted to make the council know that I think she did a great job on that. I thank her for that. So otherwise I'll just open it up. I guess any comments from the council? Other comments? Okay, then hearing none, I'll open it up for the public. Motion to adjourn.
not yet. Gotta set a few dates yet.
No, I'm good.
Okay, so I show our next meeting on May 19th
That's correct.
at 4:30.
You have June 23rd.
Yep.
July 28th. Budget meeting August 12th. August 25th. And that's as far as we've set so far. I didn't know if you wanted to start budget stuff or not.
I think we got the budget set. I'm going to wait another committee. We can set the rest of the year,
Okay,
if that's okay.
that's fine. I did sign most of you up for the AIC district meeting
May 15th.
on May 14th.
And they do have that budget in the morning, I guess, that day.
Is it in the morning or the afternoon?
I thought it was always directly preceding the other.
It's budget, it's the budget class number 1.
I don't know, I wonder, my only thought was if they would have some of the changes that the legislature has, but I would doubt if they do. This is more basic, so I think I'm gonna take my name off of it too.
Okay. I have not signed you up yet. I was gonna wait till tonight to see if anybody else.
Yeah, I didn't know. Because they cover a lot of the same things in the meeting.
Yeah.
The dinner meeting, I mean, they just don't get into detail, right?
And I think it's $60,
70, 60 or 75.
could be more, I don't even know.
But just dropped me out of it,
Okay,
I think.
will do.
I got a question, if anybody knows more than what the article said on the regional wellness center update, since the county contributed money, does anybody know where that?
We haven't given them any money yet.
Okay, so we haven't, but does anybody know in the process what's hold up or what to
I think
expect?
they're just waiting to see how these bills pass to make sure that they can afford to maintain it. That's my understanding.
What kind of revenues they're getting in.
Well, they're trying to have a better projection.
I think they're waiting to maybe July. Did I hear?
I don't know when, I just,
Maybe I'm wrong on that, but kind of waiting to see.
The only thing I heard about that, Alex, is, they had some correspondence that they wanted to know if we would prepay it. And I looked at our minutes and we said it was $100,000 a year for 5 years. And they didn't draw their first year, so.
But I thought we said they can't draw until got a contract.
Right.
So that's why we have not given them any money yet.
So I mean, they haven't, like you said, they haven't drawn any money on it. Anything else to the betterment of the council?
I've had a couple of asks about direction on pay increases for the different departments, what the council was wanting to suggest, or, because in the past we kind of talked about what we think, and people are starting to get their budgets ready, and they're wanting some direction on that. I didn't have any answers for them because we hadn't talked about it yet, so
I don't
we're
know,
gonna
I haven't given any thought to it yet. That's me.
I think
kind
it's
of
still,
putting them in a bind to get their budgets
still
ready,
comes
not
down
even knowing.
to what,
Well, we send out their budget stuff June 1. So unless a board's asking for them to do a budget ahead of time, we don't give them direction until June 1. So,
We normally do that in May, right? Next month, but it's a good thing to think about. What do we want to do?
Some
Again,
do have board meetings before, I think, that they're wanting to discuss and not have extra meetings, I guess, for the board. So that's probably why they wanted to get some direction on.
I think it's
What
gonna be
we're
really
thinking.
hard because we don't know.
there's a lot of them though,
I mean, COLA's not even set yet.
it's gonna be hard.
so I think we should all think about that just a little bit and try to keep up with the 291 page budget thing that I tried to go through. It's unreal. The changes. It's strange when you raise cigarette tax by $2 and then they cut the funding for First Health Indiana by half. That somewhat doesn't make sense to me.
So we just add to the surplus, basically? Is that what the state's trying to do?
So I think they needed the $2 a pack to make.
They have
the
a
budget.
$2 billion shortfall.
Shortfall.
I mean, but it's disappointing. I know Sean Moore is upset, or not upset, but I mean, he's concerned about it because, you hire these people. And then when you read in the thing that, in the little budget book, comments, they say, well, most of the counties haven't used the 60% of their thing. Well, this doesn't happen overnight to set these things up.
Exactly.
And then you get cut at the knees before you even.
Yeah.
You give it a chance.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed with that in some ways because I know he's done a great job out there. We had the space available after 911 moved out. So, that's going to be some tough decisions if we have to let those people go. So, not saying we have to, but
Something gives.
yes, something's got to give. Anything else for the betterment of the council? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to close the meeting.
Make the motion.
Okay, Doug has made a motion, I have a second.
I'll second.
Dean seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Close the meeting. Du Bois County Council.
Here we go.